is this something where you inject in the deeper dermis as well as superficially? Are there multiple different types of products?
I love this question. You have to think of the aging process as complex and at the same time as multi-layer. So if you're looking at the aging complex when it comes, for example, to the skeletal aspect of things, here you would use things that are of volumizing in nature, high G prime, things that are quite stiff, that is able to give you structure. So here, a perfect example would be your high volumizing HA fillers would work very, very well into that area. Deep fat compartments also, you would utilize your volumizing high G prime HA fillers. Now we're moving a little bit more to the upper parts of the skin, the superficial fat compartments, very close to the dermis, but you're still subdermal. For those individuals, you're basically going to be utilizing your dilute or hyperdilute calcium hydroxylapatite or your polylactic acid. So it works in a way, and it's been published. Sebastian Cortofana has mentioned this a number of times, that even if you're injecting it subdermally, there is a communication into the dermis where you actually see thickening of the dermis if the material is injected in the subdermal plane. So that happens into that area. And then more superficial, to ensure that you are in the dermis itself, that's where you would utilize something like your polynucleotides, because that's where they're going to work on. Now, granted, there have been some studies and pharma research is working on it, or some of the companies are working on it. If you do inject them in the subdermis, because of that communication, you can see an effect. Up until now, however, for you to get the optimum results, they have to be injected mainly into the dermis with a needle.
Okay, mainly in the dermis with a needle. And are the results immediate or does it take some time?
So yeah, so that's also a good question. The only thing that's very immediate that happens immediately is probably your HA volumizing fillers. You see the results, boom. This is, you get your correction, usually more or less 1-to-1 if you want to get the best results. The biostimulators that you're injecting subdermally in the superficial plane, those would require at least anywhere between, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks for you to see some formal results. And then you'd have your polynucleotides, which also that are injected even much more superficial. You would require multiple treatments a month apart, and you'd need at least 3 months of those treatments to see some significant results.
It's almost like a skin booster with the polynucleotides, is how I'm thinking of it.
That's right. But your skin boosters contain hyaluronic acid, so
That's right.
they hydrate. They're able to absorb water and they hydrate the skin. This one does not do that. This one does not work on the hydration aspect.
Is there quite a bit of inflammation since you're injecting something so foreign?
Quite the opposite, actually.
Hmm.
It leads to less of an inflammatory response, and we've seen that also in terms of, like, the looking at all the inflammatory markers. We see that less active. Let's put it that way. Once your polynucleotides are injected.
Oh wow. It's just totally fascinating to me. The polynucleotides and PDRN. I can't wait for the science to catch up, as you said. It's much like exosomes. I mean, I think we probably are a little bit more excited about polynucleotides than we are currently about exosomes, although maybe the science will catch up there as well.
I can tell you, with regard to the exosomes, there's a lot of variability there because you're dealing with exosomes of different origins, and plant origin is different than human origin exosomes. That's one thing. And then when it comes to the exosomes like a basket of materials that you don't know which one is actually actively working. With the polynucleotides, I mean, you definitely know that you've got polynucleotides that are there that are working for you. With exosomes, I feel that the materials, you know they are pretty much unnamed or unknown. You don't really know what's being injected or what's basically being applied, and you don't know which one is actually working for you. So for me, exosomes is like a big umbrella that encompasses a lot of probable actives and a lot of probably inactive ingredients.